Okay, here's a video I've never done before. I actually have a icarus cart here that I sold on eBay, and the guy said it didn't work, which of course I tested it before I sent it out, but I tested it on a top loader. And as you all know, the top loader does not have the CIC chip, or the region lockout chip, or whatever you want to call it, and the front loader does. So of course when I got it back, I put it right back into the top loader and it worked, and then I put it into a front loader and it didn't work, and I'm going to show you that, and then I'm going to show you the possible fix for it. Okay, so first put it in the top loader and you can see it works fine. Now I slide it into a front loader, which doesn't have a brand new connector, but it's pretty fresh, and you can see I just get the typical flashing screen. Let's see, I can put in a different game for you to show that the front loader does actually work fine. So now I want to open up the cartridge itself and show you what probably has failed on it. Okay, so being a 5-screw, all I've got is these simple flathead screws, and just get a small flathead screwdriver to take it apart. Obviously, some carts will not be this easy, and you'll need a game bit. This is the smaller game bit that for cartridges and not for consoles. I can't remember the sizes. So I'll just get this cartridge apart here. I believe the buyer also took it apart and cleaned the contacts in frustration, and that didn't work. Okay, there's the circuit board. Now, what I believe to be the problem, since it works on a top loader, not a front loader, is the lockout chip. This one is 3193A, right here in the middle. And what I'm going to do is actually swap it out, swap that whole chip out with one that I know works. I went and grabbed a NROM game. You can see that's a same size or same pinout chip there. It is a different number. This one just says 6113. I'm guessing it'll work exactly the same. This cartridge doesn't work, and as you can see, it is terribly corroded along the pins and everything. And it's just a little NROM game, so it wasn't a huge loss. I couldn't even tell you what it was anymore. But on the back you can see the corrosion took hold right where the cart plastic sits against the PCB, and there were a lot of traces that were corroded through, and it wasn't worth repairing. Matter of fact, I can see where I scratched through one of the traces right there, and was going to try to repair it. Yeah, over here the trace for horizontal and vertical down to the cart edge is corroded through. Looks like the trace below it's corroded through. Just like a bunch of these are corroded through. This wasn't worth saving. So what I'm going to do is break out the Heiko 808 and desolder both these chips and swap them out and see if we can get it working again. Guess I'll get a little bit close-up of this, since some people may be watching this video and not see my other videos with using the Heiko. I'm not going to show you how I did the Heiko. It's pretty simple, but what it does is it just sucks out the solder on each pin, and then I go back with my very dull X-Acto knife and I just kind of move the pins around, just kind of unfree them from that last little bit of solder, and then take pullers and grab onto it and tease it out. This is the bad one, and this is the good one. And you'll see right there, point to it with this, you can see this little design with a little hump right there. That means that you're going to use a certain end of the chip, and on the chip there is a little divot. Sorry for the lighting, my inspection bulb went out. You can kind of see that divot right there. That means that is pin 1, and then it's going to have to go in this way. And then I can just bend the pins on each end, opposite ends, to hold it in place, and then I'll simply solder it in. Okay, so now the hopefully working lockout chip is soldered in place of the most likely dead chip, so we'll put it back together in the cartridge and then stick it into the front loader and test it. For anybody that doesn't know, the cartridge can only, or the circuit board can only go back into the shell one way. These there's little cutouts on each side, and they are offset so that if you try to stick it in there, this is the label side of the cartridge. If you try to stick it in there with the chips on top, it'll never go in there. If you just flip it over, it lays right in there, and you can see these gray posts stick through those cutouts perfectly fine. Okay, now let's give it a test. Okay, here it goes, nothing. Still works on the top loader. Stick it in the front loader. Flashing green screen. Well, another possible issue, just like the board that I just took that chip from, maybe I have a corroded trace from the CIC down to the card edge. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so now what I want to try to do is actually test the lockout chip, and this is just one of those NROM test carts that I put together. I took out the prog and char and put in sockets. That way I could, I like Devil World as one of those repros that I used to sell a lot of, and I would burn the chips, put them in here, and then put them into a top loader to make sure that the chips burn correctly before I solder them into the new board. I also put a switch up here for vertical and horizontal, and I just recently cut out this area so I could put a socket into the lockout chip and swap that out. And I took the top off of, this is the same front loader, I took the top off and I pulled out that bar so that this could actually slide in there, and you'll see this Japanese Macross NROM game. Japanese Macross NROM game. This is currently the lockout chip that was in this board already, and I just wanted to test to make sure that the socket was okay and then that was working, so now I'll swap that chip out and retry it. Okay, so now I have the 3193A that came from the Kid Icarus that didn't work. And of course it's going to work fine in the top loader, but I'm really curious what it's going to do in the front loader. Crap. The chip works, so that wasn't even the problem with the game. So I was down the wrong path completely. And I also took a multimeter and checked continuity on the Kid Icarus board. There's only like 4 pins of the lockout chip that connect to the card edge if you don't count power and ground. And they all checked okay. So gotta be something else, and I'm not real sure where to go with that other than it might be mapper or RAM. I mean, that's about the only thing left. I mean, it works on the top loader. That's what's not making sense to me. If it works on the top loader, then it should work on the front loader if it's not that chip. I don't know. We'll have to investigate further to see what's up.